now we're going to show how to set up a track. We're going to start with showing how to set up the endpoint and the start point. So for this track, our endpoint is supposed to be in this spot, in the square. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you're properly measuring from the edge of the line. This track specifically is 50 centimeters from the bottom here. So you want to know how your track is set up pretty much. The way we usually set up start and end points is we take a tape and we put a dot on it so that we don't mark the floor or we don't have a permanent spot. So here, show. Just see it's 50. Just conveniently is on the line. You can estimate the middle of the square, and then once you flip it, this is so when you move it down. It won't always be completely visible, but you want to make sure at competitions that your start and end point are on the proper spots if the event coordinators don't set it up properly. Okay, I'm going to shift it a little bit. So for start points will always be on the edge of the track. So for this track, our start point is on this square right here. Right now we have it on the edge of the tape, but it won't always be because the start point could technically be in the middle or on the other side of the tape. So whenever you make your start move, you want to make sure you calculate the correct distance either from the end or from the middle of the tape because sometimes it could change. So here, if I were to be setting this up right now, I would just take our meter stick and then I would just check to make sure it's at 25. So it's properly set up. So this is a track that we're using for this run. And right now when we're setting it up, we're just going to follow whatever it says. So these yellow rectangles are the blocks that we're holding right now. The blue circles represent water bottles, and these green squares are the gates that you're trying to get the robot into to score points. Another thing to note is to make sure that the bottles are always centered on the lines, because if the future years use bottles for points, if they're not centered, then you can also miss them. And now Aaron is putting out tape for the points.
Okay, so now that your track is set up, there is a 10-minute setup time. Every team does the setup time differently, but how we do it is first we have someone put in the batteries. So for our team specifically, Katie would put in the batteries, and while she's doing that, because our code takes longer to load, I would plug in the flash drive into the computer first, open up the program, and just let it load. And while I'm waiting for it to load, this is a planning paper. So this is basically a physical version of the paper version of the physical track, so we can see it. And we would plan together, after she puts in the batteries, the actual route that we're going to take and the estimated time and whatnot. For in-person invitations, you will be able to do this beforehand, but for satellites, you will do it during the setup time. And then this is how we plan or calculate the time it takes for the track to finish. So if you could pan down here. These are the distances and angles right here, and then here's how many distances or angles we have. And the way we do this is we usually would have like a data table of how much each move takes, or how much time each move takes, and we would multiply that by the amount of tallies there are for the track.
Yes.
And then after we're done planning, then we start the coding. Usually someone would read out the moves that you're supposed to take, and then the other person
would input them on the code.
Yes, would put that into the code. And then if you have extra time, be sure to double check, and maybe even make a separate track if you haven't already planned that out, just like a backup, or maybe like what you want to do for your second run, things like that.
Usually whenever we have extra time, what we'll do is we'll take the Swiffer and we'll get it ready, because you're not allowed to touch the track until your track time starts. You're also not allowed to test your robot, so make sure you don't accidentally start the code before you're ready to actually run.
Yes. You can actually start the robot. Your robot just can't be touching the floor, so you can run your code and just hold your robot into the air and just see if it runs the way you need it to run. As long as it's not moving on the surface. Another thing you can do is connect to your Bluetooth and also download, because that also takes a little bit of time. Yeah.
So now we're gonna move on to show you what a full run looks like. Typically at invitationals, you would have all your stuff for the run already in the box, and you would impound with this whole box.
Yes, and then you don't impound your laptop or your Swiffer, so you would take that with you when you are going to your event. What else? You also don't impound your calculator and pencils, so make sure to bring that as well. And some teams also have a timer. I'm just going to use my phone timer for now, but they don't let you know, at least for this year specifically, they don't let you know how much time your track takes per run once you actually get to the run time. So that's why it might be helpful to have a timer on hand, and you also don't have to impound that timer.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to set up for 10 minutes, and 10 minutes starts now.